Paradiso Africa.
Hello, how una day? Abariako. It's another episode on Paradiso Africa.
Africa.
Yes. Today we have a special guest in our midst. He's a special brother. But I'll let him introduce himself to us.
I'm Jermaine, or popularly known as Sunny Jermaine, and I come from Zimbabwe. I actually come from, it's called Mtwalazi, Zimbabwe. It's in the southwest of Zimbabwe. It's like the Biafra of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So we have our own issue within that region where we sort of like want to break away. Not everybody, some people do, some people want to stay with Zimbabwe, but originally we were we were two separate states, and then the British combined us together in 1923, which is a story. So, which is 100 years ago next year.
You know, there's something interesting about Sani. He's so obsessed about Nigeria. He's a Zimbabwean, but he's so obsessed about Nigeria. But before we dive into the topic or the discussion of today, please, would like you to subscribe, like and comment in this video, and please share to your loved ones.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Do I address you as Mr. Sani? Is that okay?
Yes. Some
Okay.
people say Mr. Jermaine. Well, because my surname is a bit difficult to read. It just
So it's easier
twists
to call you Sani.
Sani, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
easier. But not
My
Sani
surname is-
Abacha.
No,
Now it's not happening. So
not
sweet.
Abacha. But my surname, it's called Ndlovu.
Okay.
Yeah, it means elephant.
Elephant.
Yeah, directly like that. Some of my West African friends are always shocked, like, what? You guys, you have animal surnames.
Yeah.
That is scary. Is that not witchy? I'm like,
No,
no.
it's beautiful.
So it directly means elephant,
Yeah.
like that.
Okay, that's nice. So what do you do?
I'm a broadcaster. That's, I think, what I've done the most. I used to produce radio. I started when I was, okay, how back do I go? I normally start when I was 19. That's when I began with community radio. But when I was 11, I used to do music as well. I used to play the marimba. So I've been in the entertainment industry for a very long time. But then radio is where I sort of found myself a lot. I just went into a radio station. I said, hello, I'm here. This is what I want to do. And yeah, I've never looked back. I rose within the ranks, and I eventually became a programs manager for a radio station in Zim. And then that was 2016, 17, just before I came here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So broadcasting is what I do most. I think I have 5 careers. I would also be in the newspaper as well.
Okay.
I had a column. I like to call myself a journalist because I believe I can do what a journalist can. So I prefer to comment on issues. Obviously, it would get me into trouble, especially with religious people, because I like to clash with religion a lot. And I'm also a DJ, club DJ.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, chasing that money. And I'm also a healer. I call myself a verbalist. I'm actually a licensed healer. I like to call it verbalist because I help people talk. I help people connect the dots about who they are, their identity. And of course, sometimes people don't like that. They don't like the dots that they connect because it's like, oh, that's not what I had in mind. But I think knowing who you are is more important than not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's basically who I am. And also a gay guy, so that makes me an activist as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been fired 6 times in Zimbabwe, so whenever I lose one job, I'll jump to another.
That's good.
But okay, I'll pick it up from there because you mentioned something about you're a gay guy and that makes you an activist.
Mhm.
So are you, I mean, as a gay person, do you necessarily need to be an activist?
I think it's unavoidable. Oh, that's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I think it's unavoidable. I think it's like being black. There's no way you cannot be an activist when you are black with all the issues that black people have. So for me, being an activist is something that came naturally to me because I know the problems that I faced being gay in Africa. And I also know, and I might not have the problems other people had, but I know what the problems they had. And so I think we live in this world where if you speak about a problem, people who don't have that problem will come up and say, oh, why are you talking about that problem? But I'm like, well, get out of your privilege. If people with a problem are telling you about a problem, they genuinely have a problem. Yes. Bless you for not being affected by it. How blessed are you that that thing doesn't have to affect you? So we have to come in and say, we have this problem, and the only way for you to know it is for us to tell you. But for me, I take it a step further, and I try to understand other people's problems as well, because I consider myself empathetic.
Yeah.
Not sympathetic.
Not sympathetic, but empathetic.
Yeah.
Okay. So, when you say you consider, I mean, being gay, you also consider yourself, it's more like being black. What are the characteristics of being black? Oh, you're bringing it. Oh, you have deep questions. I watch your show. I saw Stan the other day also saying these questions are deep. That's being black, it represents a lot. I think that's why the world is so curious about us, even though some people think we're animals. But it's pretty clear that they are interested in us based on how nowadays everybody wants to act black. Yes. Everybody wants to sing like how black people sing. Everybody wants to bang our drums. Of course, they take the instrument and put it in a computer and then they sell it to the world, and then it's like a European thing, but those are African instruments which have been added and done this. A lot of who we are is exported by other people. And for me, I have a big problem with that because we are being left out of that economy. And so that's why we have to be activists. So whenever I come across a black person, I always ask, how can you not be an activist with all the problems that we have? Okay, yeah. So again, it's your program Paradiso Africa. I'm not here alone. I'm here with my...
I'm Joyce.
Okay. So again, I'm Kay, and this is Joyce here with me. And we have with us Sunny. And I believe Joyce have one or two questions before, as we proceed.
My question is, are you happy being in the Netherlands?
I actually am.
Serious?
Yes,
okay.
I watched your show the other time. No, you know what? I'll tell you why I am happy. It's because I think I know who I am.
That's good. That's important. Yeah.
And that was so important for me before coming here. It was so critical. It was just fundamental for me to be at peace with myself and not want to be someone else or want to be a different race. Of course, it did happen when I was younger because that's the life that we live. As black people, we have all these influences coming at us from, particularly for us in Zimbabwe, like you say, that I have an obsession with Nigeria. We grew up reading, there were these books called Pace Setters in the 1970s. Obviously, I was born in the 80s, but we read them in the 90s, and most of them were from Nigeria. And so those books could transport you to another part of Africa that you would never visit with your own legs. So you would understand, for example, Pucci, Emechita's Naira Power, or the novel director, All Things Fall Apart. There were so many of these African books, and we didn't have television as well. So we didn't have these cellular phones and Wi-Fi's. So you actually had to read. and it's said that the kids of today, they don't want to read, they don't have time for reading. And then fast forward when we had television. Obviously, we had TV in 1965, but it was for the white people. Oh yeah, it was for the white people. And then it gradually came to black people in the 1990s, and that's when we started watching Nigerian movies as well. So Nigerian culture was basically around us. Our women started wearing the Yoruba attire. Yeah. Nice. I think in Southern Africa, the Yoruba attire, everybody calls it traditional or African attire, because colonization was so bad, we no longer have. And so the only thing we could do was to look up to Nigeria and say, oh, they have something, we can.
But I think, only Nigerians were able to keep to their tradition. I've traveled to almost other African countries. I think they just lose their tradition.
Yeah.
Because I was also in Zimbabwe, and what shocked me, because I was in a part where I was more with whites and blacks. So what the first thing that I was shocked by, travel to Zimbabwe, Namibia, and other parts, that a house girl, when we arrive in a house, then they'll say, okay, this is your house girl. What I was shocked first when I was in Zimbabwe, the movie from Kunta Kunte, all these, the nanny, they have their own special attire, robes, slaves, the white and black, I was like, then this woman come that she is our husband. I said, what are you wearing? I have my African clothes and everything. She said, yes, madam, that's what I'm supposed to wear. I said, no, not here. You are my mother, you are my sister, you're not wearing this. Take it out, please. I said, here.
Oh, you mean a uniform?
Your uniform.
That looks more like the slavery.
I was shocked. That is in 2014-15. Every house that we go that time, immediately we come in. They will start talking, okay, this woman, you will not wear these clothes. Immediately I arrive. Oh yeah, who are you? What are you doing? Take this clothes out. I was like taking it upon myself, taking my African clothes, please wear this. And they were like, oh wow, they were like nice, but it was short. They were also uncomfortable. That is to me, yes, colonization come, but still, we're supposed to take our tradition. I think they did not come and say, forget your tradition. No, we did it. We follow.
Oh, I'm embarrassed by that. I've never thought of that actually, because it's so normal for the maids.
Yes, it was normal for the maids.
Uniform.
I feel I was boiling.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not nice.
In this era,
especially when most of these people are serving white people in your own home, in your own continent, then you're still slaving for.
I
at this
like
modern
it.
age. Going
back to tradition. It's not only Nigeria were strong. Nigeria were like, okay, we keep to our tradition. But other African country, I think we lose it, and I don't think we have to blame the whites for that, because in South Africa, part of South Africa, they still have their beads, and they still have their, no matter what they wear, shorts or whatever, they will have their skirts, they will have their traditional weaving things that they wear, very colorful, beautiful. But other African countries like Zimbabwe, Namibia, and other places, I didn't see that. It was a little bit like disappointed, but I think we have to we are power. For me, being black is power. Being black is, as you said, know who you are. And know where you are going. Not just copy and paste, and this is what my master said I should do. This is what. No, be yourself.
No, that's so true. That's really true. Like what you're saying about traditional attire, if you wear it, people say you are being a witch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
And
And then will you say is the colonizers that bring that? They did not. It's us.
Yeah.
It's our mindset.
And that is what
Because
we need to change.
That's what we need to change. The mindset. We are power. We just wish our African people will know who they are. Because a lot of them don't know who they are.
That's true. You're 100% spot on.
Really.
To divert a little bit, how did you end up in the Netherlands?
I'd been to Europe many times before, and I never really was interested in staying. I didn't see myself. So, and a lot of people, when you're in Africa, people will ask you, you came back, are you crazy?
Oh.
I'm like, I have a life there.
Yeah.
I have a career there. I was born here. I don't have a solid reason to uproot myself and just pack up and go. Based on what? Based on television? No. That was not who I am. And I used to, because we used to travel a lot, we were youth activists. Like I told you that I began at the age of 19. So actually the radio station was not allowed to broadcast. It was because our government used to, in fact they still do, they control the broadcasting industry.
Okay.
And so the radio station never got a license. So you would practice to be a broadcaster and you'd be an activist at the same time. Like what I say, that with all the problems that we have, you simply cannot be an activist. So I was an activist, and so when you're an activist, you get to travel to meet other people, other activists, and find out how they do activism. So I used to travel a lot. I've been to the Netherlands I think a decade ago. I'd been to Europe much before that, but I'd always go back home. But being a gay guy, it reached a point where I threw in the towel, where I said, I cannot make this work because I've always been gay. I've never been in the so-called closet. Of course, I wasn't making an advertisement on TV to say, hey, look at me. But I wasn't exactly hiding it either. So that's how I would get fired, because it would be pretty obvious that, okay, the other boys are talking about girls and you are quiet. They don't see you with a girlfriend. I've never dated a woman.
Yeah.
to be specific, like have sex with a woman. I've never, because that's not who I am. And I've never wanted it to be me. I'm fortunate that I have a strong connection with who I am. So there are a lot of things that I don't have to worry about. Things like religion, things like sexuality, things like identity that a lot of people worry about. I've never had to worry about that in my life. So it makes it easy for me to be happy where I am. I say home is where I am when I choose it to be. So of course I had to flee my country because I've been fired so much, and it becomes so stressful and it becomes so unlivable. Of course, it's also illegal to be gay. So my life is a giant, I like to say my life is a giant crime scene because I've only dated boys. So I couldn't change that about myself.
Okay. I didn't realize also that it was a crime to be gay in Zimbabwe, because I think in South Africa, is it also a crime to be gay in South Africa?
If you're black.
They have their own challenges too. Every African country have their own challenges.
But mostly if you're black.
If you're black. Yeah, because in South Africa, if there's a strong white South African population, and it's easier for that demographic to be gay because money gives you protection. It enables you to put yourself in a different environment. As I speak right now, there have been, I think, 10 murders in South Africa of LGBT people, and last year more than 25. This is in a country where same-sex marriage is actually allowed. So you can imagine that in the rest of Africa, it has to go underground.
Yeah. But what's your perception about Africa?
I have a love and hate relationship with Africa.
Okay, that's new. Love and hate.
Yeah, because it gave me a lot. At the same time, it took away a lot.
Yes.
So I sitting right here, I won't lie to you. I don't miss it.
Oh,
I really don't.
okay.
Yes.
That's new.
I really don't, and I
Yeah.
don't see myself missing it. Actually.
Okay.
But as you said, you're happy. So I think that's the basics of your,
Okay.
your being, just find that happiness.
Yeah.
And you don't miss it and everything, because you did not get anything, that will make you say or fight for your
Yeah.
country. So we can.
No, I did fight.
understand
I always
that.
say I'm a hero.
No, I mean like spiritually,
Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
spiritually, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I can understand that.
Wow.
Yes.
So you don't see yourself going back home or to Africa sometime? Okay.
I don't know what would make me go back.
Yeah, but what about other African countries? Like now, let's say Nigeria is peaceful. Would you like to visit Nigeria?
Yeah, oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah?
I've been to a few African countries.
Okay.
I've never been to West Africa. I'd love to visit
Yeah,
West
that's,
Africa.
Yeah, that would be nice.
We'll
And I
invite
like West.
you.
Oh, thank you. I like West African men, and I'll tell you why. Because I find West African men are more confident with their sexuality
Yes.
compared to our boys down south. Unfortunately, for our men down south, a lot of them die by suicide
Yeah.
because being gay is that painful. So they unfortunately take that option and
Yes.
say,
Yeah.
I don't want this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
No
So a
food.
lot of Zimbabweans would generally not seek asylum. That's why you don't see many Zimbabweans here.
Yes.
It's because they would
Yes.
rather, unfortunately,
And Zimbabwe also, their form of keeping to themselves.
yeah,
Even back in Zimbabwe, they are, like the way, us, like in our own side, the way our men, as you're saying, they are comfortable there. They know they are there and
They have the
they
confidence.
have the confidence. But
Mhm.
I also see that a lot in Zimbabwe,
Mhm.
Namibia. The men are not so, they are comfortable, but they are not like, out there.
Yeah.
They are really keep to themselves. That is even straight men talking about gay. Yeah. So I can get that, which is a pity.
yeah.
Because there was a story one Nigerian man was saying about during the freedom, Nigeria get their freedom and Zimbabwe also, and they were in a school. I don't know what school they were, and he was confident to go out. It's a Nigerian man. He was confident to call a white girl, hey, come here, and it was not allowed.
Yeah.
It was not allowed, but he was so confident. He just said, hey, you come. And he started talking to them, and then these Zimbabwean men, they were looking, they said, wow.
Oh, wow.
They were amazed.
Yeah.
So they went to him and said, wow, how did you do that? He said, will you like me to connect you? He just called the white guy. He said, come, this is my friend. Introduction. And they were, you are the man. So those kind of things, even when I was in Zimbabwe, like we used to go picnic, which they call it bride.
Yeah.
Then it's like in Nigeria, then you go like we call it the pepper soup joint.
Okay.
But in Zimbabwe, then it's bride joint. You go, you see the men, they will be like, they know it's a stranger, but they will be just looking, like amazed. But even if you try to talk to them, they are close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our culture.
Yes,
It
I never
teaches
understand
us
why.
to
Yeah.
be, we're taught to be I'm trying to think of an English word for it. We overdo Ubuntu. I don't know if you've heard of the word Ubuntu.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
It means